term sexual violence? What images come to mind?
Well, for me, sexual violence, the first thing that really comes to mind, once you hear sexual violence, you think the act. Anything that has to do with sexual touching and you know, that just the act alone, that's the first thing that comes to mind. Abuse, child abuse, abuse against women, abuse against girls, even men and boys, right? That's the first thing you think about. And everything comes so alive. When you sing sex, it does arouse something different in people. So when you hear sexual violence, the first thing you're thinking about is penetration,
Right.
touching up, and you know, the real serious stuff.
I think of power, and I think of sexual gratification. In that, for me, and generally when I think of sexual violence, I usually go right away to rape, because it's usually it's the easiest one to think about. And for me, I think of power because many times we look at the whole idea that, oh, well, what could a 20-year-old guy get from a 13-month-old baby? What sort of feelings he can get? Because we're thinking that sex, no matter what type of sex it is, that it has to do with your sexual gratification, but many times it's more than that. Sometimes it can also be, and oftentimes it has to do with power.
In addition to that, the way that sex is being sold now is that men must dominate, or there must be a dominative one during sex, and there must be somebody submissive. And then also they're selling rape as a way. As a way of domination. Even the 50 Shades, that was the first thing that came to my mind. After 50 Shades, prices of toys went up. People went to buy chains, whips, and everything. And there's a thing where they are selling sex as there must be a dominating party. And rape and these sorts of things become exciting.
Further to that, when I think about, because as you said, sex is supposed to be a beautiful thing. I mean, the Bible talks about, sex between marriage and love and partners and all of these things. So you grow up with this fairy tale idea that a man will come sweep you off your feet and then you live happily ever after. But when you add violence to the end of sexual, then to me, it also speaks to the mental state of an individual.
The same sex play domination happens there, because think about it. In a normal home setting, a woman, husband, wife, a woman generally more times has to use that sometimes to get the things that she wants. So she has to, if it is you want to ensure that your children have food when the day come to eat, that it might be something that you would have to trade.
What we're discussing is we keep saying the male is the one doing the act. And if we really have to think about gender-based violence, we also need to just kind of have a more balanced discussion in terms of what about if the female now wants to be the one dominating.
But then some of the things that could be considered gender-based abuse, because you would have spoken about maybe the possibility of this person having experienced something in the home. It may not have been a physical encounter, it may not have been a sexual nature to them, but they may have probably seen their own mother being raped, or they could have probably seen a brother or sister being molested by an older relative, and it did not happen to them, right? But because they witnessed such a thing, they went to go act it out. Or try it out, or they couldn't speak to anybody about their experience, and the only way that they maybe could have satisfied whatever their curiosity was to actually try it, go out there and see, what does this do, how do I feel about this, So yeah, what are the things that you guys consider gender-based abuse?
To me, abuse is anything that causes hurt, anything that's cruel, and it can be a violent act. It may not always be, but it's anything that suggests that you're ill-treating anyone. So
yes, I have similar sentiments in terms of gender-based abuse or violence being related to any act of either neglect or harm in any way that is technically hinged on the fact of your gender, in terms of, for example, a man withholding, let's say, finances, or even a female withholding sexual relations to her husband, things along that line, all in the in the hope of hurting the person, of inflicting either harm or taking away or withdrawing or neglecting to meet the person's needs.
Basically, why do you think that we, our gender, girls and women, are more likely to be affected by gender-based violence and gender-based abuse and sexual violence rather than the men and boys? Or is that even true? Are we more affected by it? Are we not? Is it equal? What?
If you look at it, no. From research, they're saying that 1 in every 3 women have been victims of sexual violence. And then when you look at the ratio to men, they say 1 in every 33 men.
Right.
And this is what is being reported. These are not the unreported.
The whole vulnerability of women is I think the reason why women and girls are more affected, because a lot of the times you would find that, well, for example, a woman gets pregnant, a man could walk away. He don't have to clean that child. But that woman in her belly, she can deny that child. So she's the one who ends up to be the single parent. She's the one who has this additional mouth to feed. She may have had her dreams, her goals, her visions. She has to put that on her back burner. She might get into a relationship with somebody else. Things might not be going too good on the employment front. She may have not been able to finish school. So she gets involved in a relationship. This person ends up beating her. But she's staying there because why? He's a provider. He's a breadwinner. He taking a child that is not technically his own. You know, so the woman always kind of fighting up from bottom. A woman almost never starts in a position of strength. Because, I mean, they say to be born female is to be born with a minus, essentially, in some parts of the world, you know, and you get that feeling.
And in different parts of the world also, tradition. Yeah. Tradition has it that women hold the more inferior roles, and women are inferior to men. So men feel a sense, as you say, they are the breadwinners. So I am the man. I come home, my wife's supposed to cook. She don't cook. Licks. You know, that kind of thing. Or they go into the bedroom and you want to give her hard sex or like a punishment,
or hit
you
her,
understand?
yeah.
Like during sex you want to beat her because you didn't do this, or you're taking out your frustration, and in different ways, right? But no violence is okay at the end of the day.
Do you guys agree?
Yes, I agree. I was just going to say that I think the violence against girls and women would be more reported, as opposed to, of course, who would go to a police station and say, well,
as a man I'm being
yes,
abused.
okay, as a man I'm being abused, or you know, my wife or my girlfriend just hit me, or this man, I was passing through the shortcut and a man just jumped me.
Right.
You know, because remember, of course, we as a society we still sort of homophobic a bit.
Yeah.
So in terms of reporting, you would more find it being done as it relates to both girls and women as opposed to boys and men.
But do you guys think that this is normal in Tobago? Sexual violence, gender-based abuse, is this
very normal?
Normal, if it is we are defining normal as average, it happens a lot, then yes. But normal as in it is the standard or expected, I would say no.
Right.
The reason why it is I know for certain it is not the standard, is not expected, is because it is a secret. It's only the reason why these things happen and they flourish is because we water it with secrecy.
Yes.
If something is good, or if something is a standard, or if something is okay, it's normal, we will put it on Facebook. It will be out there. We will not have to
I'm pregnant for my uncle.
Don't tell mommy.
Yes.
We would not say those things.
We haven't even touched on people that would have died.
Right.
You know, they wouldn't have, and even people who committed suicide.
Right.
Right. A lot of these things go unreported. You know?
As the cause of. So in wrapping up, women, just yes or no answer. Do you guys know of anyone who has been a victim of sexual violence or gender-based abuse?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes as well.